Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining. How are you doing today?
Great. How are you?
Can't can't complain. Working from home hasn't made anyone loopy yet, has it?
Um, a little
Just a
bit.
little bit, but you can handle it pretty easily.
Good, good. I'm glad to hear that. So once again, thank you for joining this learning and development session today. My name is Annie and I will be your presenter. One thing to know about me is that I tend to talk fast when presenting, most likely due to anticipation and nerves. I'm aware of this and will make it an effort to try to stay steady, but please don't be afraid to stop me and slow me down if you need. So as you can see, based on our lovely PowerPoint, today's presentation will be over motivational techniques. So we will start by looking into what motivation is, how motivation helps people, and 3 techniques to motivate others. The techniques we are going to be focusing on today are flexibility, team empowerment, and rewards. Our objectives today will be to understand motivation at its core, understand each technique individually, and learn how to and when to implement each one. So to ensure we are all on the same page, please tell us your name and what you hope to learn from this session.
Okay. Hi. I'll get us started. My name is Rachel. I've actually been really looking forward to this session because I want to, learn a little bit more and how to better support and challenge my colleagues or those that I work with or work for type of thing in our daily tasks while at the office.
And I'm Janet. Bear with me. I'm new to Zoom. So um, I'm hoping to increase my knowledge of motivational techniques so I can better understand how to successfully implement those techniques within my job.
Wonderful. It sounds like we're all working toward the same goal. So let's get started. First things first, what is motivation? The dictionary defines motivation as a reason or reasons one has for acting or behaving in a particular way. So the will or desire you have to do something. The why underlining your goal. So for example, why are we attending this session? Is it because it's required or for some other reason? I'm sure a little bit is because a supervisor or a manager or one of your colleagues has said you need to take this session to better your skills and knowledge to help others. But as you both have stated in your wishing to learn from this session, you also want to help better support and challenge your peers, and you want to better your knowledge so you can successfully implement these techniques within your job. Those are your motivations. So there are 2 types of motivations, intrinsic and extrinsic. Intrinsic motivations is your inner drive that thrusts you to pursue an activity. Most people call this your ambition or your will. Why did you start out on this path? Because there was something in you that said, let's do it, right? Your extrinsic motivation is doing something for the outside reward. So a child does chores to get an extra allowance, or you hit a goal to better your paycheck, one of those things. So now that we've learned about the 2 types of motivation, let's start with an activity to gauge your understanding. Which are intrinsic and which are extrinsic motivations?
Well, I think that taking an extra learning and development course in your field of work can show your intrinsic because you want to, learn more. And then investing money or traveling can be considered intrinsic because they help you to enhance your performance. All 3 of those things, taking the course, investing, or traveling can be intrinsic.
And how do you enhance yourself through these activities?
You get enhancement by learning more about how to do your job. When you travel, it's by learning more about other cultures. And I guess financially, you can take better care of yourself.
Perfect. Now, are any of these activities both intrinsic and extrinsic in their motivations?
Yeah, Janet, if you don't mind, I'll take this answer, please. So to answer your question, yes, there's a few on here that are both intrinsic and extrinsic motivators. To start, exercise is definitely an example of both. For example, you could exercise to gain mental and physical health, which is, as we said, intrinsic. But on the other hand, there's exercise to lose weight, which can be seen as an extrinsic motivator due to, the way people see you when they interact with you on a daily basis. Another example from this list would be traveling. I know Janet touched on it a little bit, but intrinsically, the reward for traveling would be to get to know cultures a little bit better, to see different things, while the extrinsic potential motivation there would be if you're savvy on social media. You can post, as I'm sure we all do, those beautiful scenic photos of us, looking off into the sunset, and that helps get that extrinsic motivators from others, so that they get those likes on Instagram, or just peers by others. Oh my gosh, you went there! Like, you get that little extrinsic motivator from others.
Exactly. Many of your daily activities can be done because there is an intrinsic as well as an extrinsic motivation to participation. We know people start on an activity because of their intrinsic motivation. Why does one decide to play sports? Because they want to go and do something physical, or they have the drive to succeed in a sport. So extrinsic motivators are really what our techniques will be working on, because what motivates people to keep going into that activity? Like for sports, you have the drive to learn it and to succeed at it, but then your extrinsic motivation is that trophy at the end of the championship. So do people work for a company specifically because of the salary and the benefits, or do they work because of the comfortability they feel in this company? That is what our techniques will learn today to help motivate others on both intrinsic and extrinsic. So, as the world evolves, flexibility in how we work and when we work is a crucial part of the job. According to Connect Solutions, 2016 research has found that a quarter of UK workers would be willing to take a pay cut to work less hours. The work-life balance everywhere is becoming more popular. Everyone understands now that it's just as important to spend the same time at work as it is with your family or your friends. Personal life has become very popular. So flexibility is a give and take process. If a person wants to work flex hours, say they only want to work 25 hours a week, we understand that we can give that to you, but we may need you to come earlier or stay later in order for all of your tasks to be done and to be done well. Unlimited paid time off, or PTO, is another form of flexibility, as it shows employees that breaks from work are welcome as long as the job is accomplished. And working remotely is increasing as technology progresses, as shown in this wonderful session today. So how would you implement flexibility?
Sorry. To me, a big factor I would assume for others as well as myself would be potentially that flexibility to be able to work remotely on Fridays. I think this would be a good motivational factor throughout the week, and it would definitely would be based on the fact that you were able to get a certain amount or a certain percentage of the work done while at the office Monday through Thursday, so that we would be able to then work remotely from home on Friday, as well as that allows, family time, as well as beating, weekend commute traffic that could potentially happen depending on crazy people out and maybe even holidays or such.
Wonderful.
Yeah, I agree. Because if you can get your work done and you can also avoid like traffic and things, those are two, those are good reasons to do flexibility. Say if you're a single mom and you're having daycare, but if you can get your work done in a certain amount of time, paid less, and flex hours are good for a couple of reasons. They, like helpful with commute. And then also it's something to look forward to. If I get my job done and do it well, I get some time off. Who doesn't like time off?
Exactly. It sounds like you both have a firm grasp on implementing flexibility. So our second technique is team empowerment. This technique involves encouraging people to set better goals and to involve them in the goal setting opportunity. When you involve employees in setting goals, you allow them to better understand the company's overall goals and to own their part in achieving those goals. When someone feels ownership of an activity, they tend to be more motivated and to work harder to achieve those goals because they know it's their responsibility. One way to do this is to create a schedule of tasks in order for the goals to be outlined in responsibility and in due dates, showing everyone who's doing what, when it needs to get done, again, feeling that ownership of their tasks. Motivating others can be seen as a support of others in their endeavors. I don't know about you guys, but it always helps my motivation when I know that I have a strong support system behind me. Encouraging and supporting one another can go a long way in motivation. So how would you empower your team?
Okay, me. Being older, I don't want to look like the mom in the group, but I'd be comfortable getting out of my office, walking by their office, sticking my head in. Hey, how you doing? You need anything? Just checking in with my workers and letting them know I'm there for them, just so that, I could be a sounding board, or if just another idea, but just letting them know I'm there for them.
Okay.
Yeah, I really like what Janet was saying. You don't want to be a person that's always making sure that they're doing the work, but you also want them to know they're there. On the flip side, for me, I think one thing that my team does a lot is we come together for weekly projects, and so I think allowing them maybe a little bit more ownership inside of that, because I'm usually the one that probably sets all that stuff and demands, and I think allowing them to speak freely, maybe with what they think they could get, or strength-wise what they could get done, versus scheduling, maybe allow them to schedule their stuff a little bit more, make their due dates for themselves so that they don't feel so rushed or stressed about it, instead of me setting those like I've been doing. I think that would give them hopefully and potentially a little bit more freedom to feel a little bit more relaxed, and then that would be able to come to me when they need to, because maybe they just need that sounding board, and it wasn't me forcing them to get it done at a certain time.
Exactly. And don't forget that empowering can be as simple as an encouraging smile. As we move on to the final technique, are there any questions about the previous two?
I kind of have one. We talked about how a flex schedule could be beneficial to somebody on the job. What do you think? How about the company? Does flex schedules benefit the company?
Oh, of course they benefit the company, or else no one would have come up with them, obviously. But how they benefit the company is, motivated employees are the backbone of your company. Obviously, you can't meet a company-wide goal without your workers. So in that flexibility, showing them that, okay, you can work half a day on Monday, as long as you maybe you have to make up those hours a little bit somewhere else, but you allow them because of some an extenuating circumstance. You show them that you appreciate them as people, and you know that things come up that we can't control, but we just want you to know that we're there for you in that situation. We appreciate the fact that you came to us and told us, as opposed to just making the schedule on your own. And we can work together to figure out how to accommodate you at the same time as you accomplishing your tasks for the week and for the job. Does that clarify for you?
Yeah, it's about productivity and however we can get it done, right? To the best, and caring about them so they care about us, right?
Exactly. It makes the world go round. So our last technique is rewards. And the dictionary defines rewards as a thing given in recognition of a person's service, effort, or achievement. The base purpose of a reward is to motivate people to work to achieve the said award. So there are two types of rewards: financial, which, as the name states, is generally monetary, and non-financial, so anything outside of a monetary reward. For a job with quotas, so say you have 100 packaging boxes or 200 or whatever your quota is, an incentivized reward system is a useful tool. This can be implemented in a staircase technique. So your first quota would be a small reward, say an extra day of vacation, and the rewards would go up as the quotas go up, all the way to your highest quota, where your highest reward for that quota could be a free vacation. You can also reward employees with in-office activities, monetary bonuses, off-site activities, family days, and more. To give a reward is to know the person you are rewarding. Rewards can be unsuccessful if you present the wrong type to a person. So what does the achiever want? Are you a person that's motivated primarily by financial rewards? Are you a person who's primarily motivated by non-financial rewards? It's all about knowing what motivates your employee more. So if an employee who is a single mother hits an achievement, how would you reward her?
I'll go. Single mother, right? So one of the ways to reward her, depending on what her achievement was, what task you gave her, possible day off, an extra day off, because single moms, we're paying for daycare, we're paying for this or whatever. It's nice to have a day off and be with your children, and then then she would know you appreciate what she did for you. So yeah, a day off could be a good thing.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll piggyback a little bit on that. I think that is kind of maybe on a potentially a higher scale achievement. So to me, since you gave the example of a higher achievement, if we did maybe a little lower achievement, again, depending on what the achievement was, you could even then reward her with some sort of gift card, tiny, small, wouldn't call it a bonus, but just an incentive fun thing so that she could then take the child out and do something fun, granted on her own free time, not necessarily the day off like you had suggested, but a step before that. That would be what I was thinking.
All right, perfect. Another thing is I would like you to create an incentivized plan with 3 rewards. Rachel?
Okay, yeah. 3 rewards. So I think one of the kind of the easiest things could be the extra day off, like we had just discussed. Then maybe a bonus of some sort. Potentially, depending on where that extra day off falls. If that is the first level, that could even be the second level. The bonus is a little bit higher and or lower based off of that. And then I think a good third one could be some type of vacation, whether it's a really big, type of project that we're working on that we've all achieved, then maybe it's a longer vacation. Whereas if it's maybe something on a little bit of a smaller scale, you have some sort of shorter vacation. But I think those three could potentially be good because you can play around with them a little bit more, and raise or lower them depending on the achievement.
Okay.
Those are good. Just like Rachel, if I understand this correctly, so the reward is equal to the output. So you'd want to, depending on how the company benefits, I mean, come on, we all got to make money. You could start out with, if it's on a smaller scale, extra 30 minutes for lunchtime so she get her nails done or something, or even half a day Friday or something like that, just to, okay, we're job well done, here's your bonus. Gift cards are always nice, because competition amongst workers is a good thing too. So but here's one we haven't hit on. If the company is solvent enough, there could also be stock options in there, which, that's something that you don't touch till later. And that's great because you're thinking of the immediate reward, but hey, down the line, it is sure nice to have a little bit more in your pocket. Plus with stock options, it motivates the people working at the company to make the company better. The better they do, the better the stock does.
That is correct. Yeah. It's wonderful. I love how you both included financial and non-financial rewards in your plans. It shows a well-rounded understanding of rewards. As we have learned today, motivation is the will or desire to do something. There are two types of motivation: intrinsic, which is your inner drive, and extrinsic, which generally comes from an outside reward. We learn that there can be both intrinsic and extrinsic motivators for participating in a single activity. For motivational techniques, we learn that flexibility is the equality between work and personal life, and to be flexible is to motivate employees. Empowering the team is a bit of support and a bit of ownership. When people feel ownership of tasks and support in doing those tasks, they are empowered to achieve more efficiently and effectively. And rewards are a financial or non-financial thing given in recognition of service, effort, or achievement, which allows the employee to feel valued. Are there any questions?
Well, I just have one, and it goes back to the reward system.
Okay.
So how do you know when you're successful or unsuccessful? Is there anything wrong? Or, you got to set the right rewards. And I'm just wondering if you have any input for me.
Of course, that's a great question. Well, it always comes down to knowing your employees. So creating that relationship, not only based on how hard they work or what exactly they're working on, but, a more personal relationship to understand what they would like. For me personally, a financial reward is always nice, an extra bonus on the paycheck. I won't sniff at, it always helps when paying the bills. But personally for me, I work to help you guys. So something from my boss that shows me that he appreciates my work would be maybe like an extra day off of work, just because he knows how much I put into helping you guys be successful in your work life with your teams and everything. So personally, like I said, personally for me, a non-financial reward would go a lot longer way. But like I said, you figure that out when you're creating those relationships with your team and your colleagues and peers. Are there any other questions?
Yeah, I have one. Talking about motivational techniques is all great in theory. And while I like every single one of these techniques we've talked about, they are pretty easy, I would assume, so far to implement. There's always that like little person speaking in the back of your head that says, well, how do you actually do this? Is this actually something that's worthwhile? So I guess my question actually goes more towards you, instead of this program kind of overall, but how do you kind of empower your team? Like what have you found that's successful, and do you think that these that we've talked about are actually beneficial or not?
Okay, that's a tough one. Like I said, it also goes back to creating relationships with your team, because you can't just go and talk to someone willy-nilly. You need to know how best to communicate with them, how best they communicate with you. So it goes back to creating that relationship. And personally, I have found I have a couple of people on my team that are very independent in their working tasks. They like to be left alone once they're given their tasks. They know what they need to do. They know when they need to be done with it. And I kind of just check on them at least once a day to let them know that I am still there. I haven't forgotten about them. So when they do need to come and ask me something or clarify something, how to help with something, they know that I am there for them, that I haven't just brushed them aside because they're cool and they give me their stuff when I need their stuff. No, I'm always there for them. So that's why I'll generally check in with them at least once. If it's a particularly hard task, I might check in with them a little more until they give me that look like, hey, I'm okay, like stop bugging me, man. But I also have a couple of people on my team who need a little more of a hands-on approach. So after our weekly meetings, we'll generally go back into my office and continue to talk about the tasks that they were given. Do they have any questions on how to start them? Are they comfortable with the deadline? Things like that, just to get their initial questions out of the way. And then I'll let them go and start. And then I'll check in with them a couple of times just to make sure, they're staying on track, or an unexpected question came up and I just happened to be there at the right time, to make sure that they know what they need to do and to keep going. Maybe they hit a wall that they didn't foresee in our meetings, and they know that they can come to me anytime because I do check on them more frequently, just because I know that they're kind of like the shyer ones of the group. They won't really ask the questions unless we're one-on-one or something like that. So like I said, again, it goes with knowing your people, knowing how they work, knowing what they need in order to achieve their best work. Does that clarify? Perfect. Are there any more questions? Nope. Okay. Well, thank you very much for joining me today. I hope you feel like you understand motivation and what it is. You understand each technique, and that you know how to and when to implement these techniques. So once again, thank you for coming and have a great day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good.